Cool. So, so you mentioned both CEOs. So let's just tackle that one for a few minutes. What do you think the difference is between TK and DK? So
Oh my
I'm
God.
just I'm just shortening it, but you have to I mean, don't hold back, right? So TK and DK,
Yeah.
um,
Well,
two different personalities. That's
I
about it,
think we
I
could
think.
jump right to a very safe assumption that we will not be seeing a Showtime limited series on Dara Khosrowshahi. And I mean that as a compliment. I mean that as a compliment
Yeah.
because Travis is like eye candy. I mean, he just was just wild and crazy guy. Just wore his just uninhibited behavior on the sleeve. He just reveled in it,
Yeah.
and he also spoke his mind. I mean, he had nothing but derision, as far as I could tell, for drivers. They whine too much, they complain too much, they cost too much, and I'm going to just wipe them out because we're going to get autonomous vehicles in here as just quickly as possible, and then we'll be done with them and we'll be making a lot of money. I mean, that's
Right.
things that Dara would never say. So
Right.
I think it's important to make that distinction because Dara, and again, I'm in awe. I have never seen someone as optimistic and always seeing the glass half full and always seeing the bright side of any issue that he confronts. It's just breathtaking how well he does it. And it's so earnest.
Yeah.
So, he'll say, in the depth of the pandemic, oh man, the business is just shutting down. And I'll say, we're just ideally positioned to do well in this pandemic because, well, on the one hand, we're a variable cost business. We're just a variable cost business. And we can just sort of cut our costs. We don't have the drivers because no one's driving or moving. And then we have the eats bit. So everything's great. Everything's going to be great. And then we face a recession, as we now, in a pretty murky territory right now. And, CEOs around the world are wringing their hands. Oh man, this is going to be awful. And he comes out and says, no, we're ideally positioned. We're recession. It's going to be fine. And I just think, wow, this is just extraordinary.
Yeah.
So I give him tremendous credit for optimism, if not being truthful and open.
Oh, there you go. That's a good point. That's a good point, right? So he can say, anybody can say whatever they want. I mean, it's a free country, but is Wall Street seeing right through what he's saying, looking at the stock price? I mean, is that what's happening here? Because nobody's buying other than him. Nobody's buying what he's selling. To me, it seems like, because on Wall Street you have scoreboard. Scoreboard is your stock price. I know everything is going down, but even before everything started going down, Uber was underperforming anyway. So, are they seeing it? Is this a business that's not what Dara makes it seem to be? So to me, it's pretty obvious. It is.
Well,
let's see your opinion.
Yeah, I mean, by any measure, Uber has not performed well under either CEO financially. I mean, just in terms of just the obvious measures of profitability, the measures of return on capital or negative return on capital, and the stock price, which is the daily barometer. People probably don't remember this, but in May of 2019, Uber suffered what at the time was the biggest one-day loss in market value of any IPO that had ever hit the New York Stock Exchange. So that was a little daunting. And the stock is kind of dribbled, gone as high as into what did it go into the 60s at one point?
Yeah, at some point, very briefly.
but when you raise the question, is Wall Street buying it or not buying it? Keep in mind that if you follow the equity analysts who have a big job to kind of follow and recommend or not recommend companies, one thing that's been astonishing to me is that through it all, from the day that they IPO'd, through the ups and the downs, the number of analysts who continue to recommend Uber as a buy remains around 85% of all the analysts who follow the company. We're talking about dozens and dozens of analysts, and they can give a buy recommendation, a sell, or a hold. And I'm not talking about, well, they sort of say hold. I'm saying the people who either say buy or strong buy runs about 85% of the 50 some odd analysts. And the price goes up, the price goes down, and that figure of 85% say buy, no matter what, no matter when, it's the same. So who's to say who's buying it? I mean, the analysts still buy it.
I mean, but you know how Wall Street works. So you have to say buy. You have to say buy to get the business on the back end. So because I mean, while we're talking about the finances just a little bit, I really wanted to ask you this. So Uber has about $4 billion in free cash and about $11 billion in debt.
Right.
Okay. What happens? I mean, when is that going to be an issue? Is it going to be? Because free money has ended. So when that comes,
it will be an issue if and when they cannot reach positive cash from operations. I mean, because even before the deep freeze we're in now, we're seeing this companies that need to raise money now that have a track record of poor profitability are next to dead. Yeah. So it really comes down to, will there be a reckoning? I don't know, but I know what would cause a reckoning, and that would be if and when the cash they have in hand gets drained by continuing cash flow losses, forcing them to have to come back to the market and once again say, trust me, success is just around the corner.
Yeah. So you had mentioned
this is not the market you want to be.
Absolutely not. It's not the market you want to be in to raise
money. Once too many times.
Yeah. So you had mentioned that how positive DK is, right? Every time. So I don't know if you watched the Bloomberg interview that he did like about a week ago. It's all over the place. And then he did another interview, short one on CNBC with Jim Cramer. I'm sure you know who Jim Cramer is.
Yep.
So in both cases, right, he mentioned something that hit me kind of funny, that as a simple mind, there are two businesses, as far as I'm concerned, that kind of recession resistant. Is pet business and then the kids business. Other than that, I don't see any business that's recession resistant or recession proof. He said, we're recession resistant. So he goes, if there's a recession, okay, no problem. He goes, we will have to, we can adjust. We can adjust our cost basis. We have a very low cost, no asset business model. We'll just have more drivers come as a supply. So the ETAs will go down, but never talking about that. Will people still order $25 burritos or $30 3-mile bar hop rides, right? So what is going to be, do you think, the effect of recession on Uber, if any? Because according to Dara, he goes, it doesn't matter. Yeah, we don't care.
Yeah, well, it's a two-sided marketplace. So one could make the argument that while it will clearly dampen demand, I mean, from what little I heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, because he probably heard more of it than I did, he was talking about some switch from people buying products into services and going back. If there is as deep a recession as some people fear, it will clearly dampen demand. I mean, for someone to look in the camera and say, no, demand, we're going to have as much demand, probably more on the recession, that's ludicrous. Right. But then the offset would be, okay, but so many people are going to be unemployed that we can get more drivers at lower cost. But at the end of the day, you weigh the net effects. I would, if I were running his business and I had a choice between operating in a robust economy or a recessionary economy, there's no question where I'd want to be, and it wouldn't be in a recessionary economy. So
I agree.
All right, thanks for watching. That short little clip was from our live stream, Show Me the Money Club with Sergio and myself, Tuesdays, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Make sure you subscribe, turn on all notifications so you'll be notified when we go live, as well as all of our awesome content. Make sure to check out this video right here, which will take you to the entire live stream, or check out this video right there. All right, drive smart, everyone.